Hello, and thank you for your interest, or should I say potential interest, in the 8 practices of international leader managers. It's been designed by me over a period of a number of years and delivered internationally, hence the name. Now, what I'd like to do in this introductory session is first of all to give you an agenda. So let's find the agenda. I want to talk to you a little bit about the background to the course. Most importantly, whether it is actually for you, its content, about the concept of leader manager, and then explain a little bit about me. My name is Peter Fargus, incidentally, and I'll tell you a little bit more about myself towards the end of this introductory session. So the 8 practices has worked pretty well for leader managers from all over the world, really. Africa, Europe, Far East, Middle East, North America. Here you can see me delivering the course face to face in this particular case, in Africa, here in the Middle East, and here in the Far East. And I've had some pretty reassuring comments about the content and the delivery of the course. This incidentally is the first time I've tried to deliver the course online and not face to face. I can come and deliver it face to face with you, but I'm trying to enable more people to enjoy the content by doing this online as well. So I'll leave you to have a look at the comments here from the letter that I received from one of the course one of the range of course participants. Once you've read it, start the video again and we'll go on to the next bit. Now, there are 2 key criteria for choosing this course. The first is your organization's culture. There's a note about one of my clients' culture here, but I'm going to ask you on the next slide to have a go at doing a culture diagnostic to see if we can describe the sort of culture you're working in. Secondly, it's really beneficial if you can work in a pair or in a group. I found that pairs will work off each other, learn off each other, as well as the course content. So you're getting a double whammy there if you can work in a pair. But if you do need to work as an individual, it has worked with individuals, and you will get quite a deal from working through the course as an individual. So here is the culture activity. It's a curtailed version of the one which you'll find in the motivation session. In the motivation session, there are 3 or 4 items per factor or per session. Here I've just selected one from each of these 8 sessions. So have a look at each of the items as we go down. Decide whether you are primarily culture A, culture B, culture C, or culture D. Stop the video, have a go at doing that, and then we'll see what your results are. So the issue here is where you've placed your crosses, so to speak. If they are mainly A's and B's, then you can certainly benefit from these sessions, but I fear you might meet some resistance, some cultural resistance to the activities you're trying to achieve. If it's mainly C's and D's, then this range of sessions is almost certainly for you, it'll be beneficial to you within your culture. There's one proviso, going back to the A's and B's. If your business is establishing or in the middle of a change management program or an organization development program, then these sessions could be highly beneficial. So if you're moving from A and B to C and D, and there is a systematic way of doing this, then these sessions will facilitate that. So if you're still with me, let's have a go at looking at the content. I'll start with achieving, because the achievement session is rated by most senior managers as the most important. This is helping you and your team meet the objectives you have set, helping you follow up on making sure those objectives are in the process of being met, and giving useful feedback to people within your team, and incidentally to people outside of your team if appropriate. Incidentally, the content of these sessions can be adjusted for the requirements of your organization. Most organizations I've been in do like this managing disagreement session, but it doesn't have to be part of the achievement session, and they do like the managing stress. But of course, the more content, the longer the session. So that's the most important one from what most senior managers say. Now, if we go to the next one, the motivating one, this is the first session I think you should experience if you decide to go with these range of eight practices. The motivating session combines all the other ones to see which ones of those are most likely to boost the motivation within your team. It also looks at your leader manager style. There's no one best style, and the one that you use primarily may be the best style for the supervision of your people, or there may be other styles which you can consider. And what we also try to do is to show that you should really be quite flexible in the styles you're using, depending on the circumstances in which you are working. So let's have a look at these other ones. We'll start with investigating, because that's the next one I think you should take after motivating. This is where we're saying to you, you need to be proactive about keeping track of developments outside of your team, whether it's outside within your organization or outside your organization. And this links to a certain extent with anticipating, because if you know what's being planned outside your team, then it won't surprise you, so to speak. So investigating, I think, is quite an important aspect, and it's something which I found difficult to do when I first started off as a team leader. Organizing. When you first set up a team, you need to organize it, you need to organize yourself, you need to establish the team processes and procedures, and you need to define who should do what and when. So we cover that under the session organizing. Communicating, here we look at your personal communication style. We have a look at what might be considered communication fog, where things are misinterpreted because of whatever, either things that you've communicated wrongly, or the perception of what you communicated is a misunderstanding. So we have a look at that, and we have a look at the situations where these key competencies may come to the fore, like interviewing or presenting or negotiating and such like. Anticipating, I think, is the one I enjoy most. This looks at the sort of problems you're encountering within your business, whether you can actually anticipate and prevent problems, which could indeed be, if you can't do that, could be particularly costly. Identifying opportunities to improve within your team, or as part of a combination of teams. And also how you can manage those improvements. So anticipating, to me, is a lovely session, and most of the participants have found that particularly helpful. Linked to anticipating is the practice of problem solving. Here we talk about whether you should consult, when you should consult, when you should not consult. We have a look at, as well as your communication style, we also have a look at your thinking style. and that has been particularly beneficial to many participants, particularly when they are working as a group to solve problems. We have a look at the problem-solving process, or a problem-solving process, and the concept of making ethical decisions. And then last of all, there's learning. As you will probably be aware, there's a lot of change happening in the world nowadays, and you need to keep up with that change, particularly technological change, but also social change, political change, economic change, environmental change, all sorts of change. So learning and being willing to learn, anticipating your learning needs, is an important aspect of being a leader manager nowadays. So, talking about leader manager, I think both leadership and management is relevant in most people management roles nowadays. Universities, you might be taught leadership separately to managerial skills, but in effect, in my view, an executive nowadays needs to both lead and manage. So that's why we call that's why I use the concept of leader manager. So leaders focus on direction, trust and motivation. Managers focus on planning, organization and processes. And you need to be able to do all that to be an effective leader manager nowadays. And the 8 practices cover both these components. Okay, I said I'd say a little bit about myself. I'm not going to go through all of these, you'll be pleased to hear, all of these boxes. But you can see I started off as a factory worker at Rowntree's, and that's now part of Nestle. And then I ended up as currently I'm a lecturer and tutor at one of these universities. Depends on which university needs additional support. I've also ended up as a certified management consultant. If you put that into your search engine, then you should find a little bit more about that particular role. So, thank you for listening to me. I look forward to helping you in your current role and your future career. If you are interested, please get in touch with me. Here is my email. If you decide to take part in this course or use this course, there will be physical course materials which I will send you, as well as the videos which are associated with the materials. Thank you very much. Goodbye.